I want to go to Daniel Woodruff, who is in Panguitch right now, where they're dealing with these whipping winds and where the fire is the strongest tonight. Daniel?
Yeah, Heidi, the winds certainly have been persistent here this afternoon, and as we've been showing you here on 2 News, that's caused this whole area behind me to really kick up in the last hour or two. A lot of thick smoke, a lot of massive flames. It's just one of many issues firefighters are having to deal with in this battle to get the Brianhead fire under control. Flames shooting out of control near Panguitch Lake, whipped up by wind, keeping everyone on their toes. Up the mountain in the Sydney Valley, it's a battle line. Firefighters keep a close eye on this unpredictable, out-of-control blaze.
Those winds kind of shifted around and carried it north.
The Garfield County Sheriff has spent the last 10 days getting up close and personal with the Brianhead fire. He knows exactly where to show us the worst of the damage.
We've evacuated somewhere around 600 cabins, and that's being conservative.
On the way back down the mountain,
Are you lost?
reinforcements arrive from Oregon, joining the legions trying to get the upper hand on this fast-moving fire.
It's just been a really hard to manage fire.
Now, one thing that has helped firefighters today is air power. We've seen multiple choppers going over this area. In fact, right behind me too, they've had to bring extra water over there as the flames have kicked up. But officials here on scene telling me that's made a major difference today, getting that air power in here, dumping it here as well as near cabins that are evacuated, trying to prevent further property damage. They say that is one of many keys in getting this fire contained, more so than it is now. Back to you. Well, Heidi, today it was certainly windy, as was mentioned there. The wind posed a big problem, leading today to be unpredictable and volatile for firefighters here.
It is just unbelievable how this thing burns.
It takes just minutes for this part of the Brianhead fire to flare out of control. The flames prompting more help from the sky and a different type of evacuation. It's all part of a busy day of firefighting near Panguitch Lake.
It's hot and it's dry and it's windy.
Tough elements for crews that have come from all over, more than 1,100 strong.
Resources will be ordered or sent home as needed.
That's a big fire.
Garfield County Sheriff Danny Perkins takes us up the mountain. He shows us some of the men and women on the front lines, on alert, ready to face the enemy.
The speeds really pick up. I mean, it just goes like you can't believe. This country will never be the same in our lifetimes.
These pictures show it all and remind us just how much work is left to do.
It's going to take a while to confidently be ready to say that this is completely 100% out and it's safe.
And again, that updated number, 10% containment tonight, so still quite a bit to do. It was interesting tonight as well. They were waiting on a big tanker airplane to come fly over that spot that flared up tonight. In the end, they called it off. They didn't need it. I was told that the fire kind of burned out on its own in that area. So Heidi, some good news tonight. After the wind, that particular portion kind of fizzled out on its own. Back to you.
Go to Daniel Woodruff, who spoke to people being escorted to their homes. They're being asked to get their belongings and maybe then get out again, right, Daniel?
Yeah, Mark and Shauna, quite a bit of activity today happening here on that front. You know, as far as the fire itself, we've spent a lot of time here near Panguitch Lake, where we were yesterday. It's certainly still smoky. We've seen some choppers. In fact, one right behind me, if we want to go over to that has been dumping water here for much of the afternoon. But really, as far as the fire goes, it's been much less active from our vantage point. But as we mentioned, for these families and the homeowners and the residents that live in this area, it has been a beehive of activity.
It's absolutely impossible to come up with just a little amount of time to try to find what really means something to you.
Yeah, the Garfield County Sheriff's Office has been escorting people up to the lake and back throughout the day today, allowing them to clear out their cabins a little bit. But here's the catch. They only have minutes, 15, 20 maybe, to grab what they can before they have to go back down the mountain. Now, those homes that are near the lake that they went to today are still threatened. In fact, today we saw fire and smoke pretty close by, but we also saw some ground fire crews who were on hand to try to protect those properties. Now, good news, the wind hasn't been as strong today here near the lake. That's been a plus for firefighters, but still a lot to do. And there are some other effects to this fire other than property, other than burned out cabins. The sheriff found that out today and took a video of it. It's painful and tough to watch, but a good illustration of what this fire is doing. We'll play that video for you tonight and have much more from the scene here coming up on 2 News at 6 o'clock. Back to you.
The Brianhead fire is closing in on about 50,000 acres now. It's at 9% containment and has more than 1,400 personnel fighting the flames. Today, some homeowners are returning to their homes to grab more items. We have team coverage tonight, but first to Daniel Woodruff, who followed a couple today who went back to their home.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it seemed like the weather cooperated today quite a bit because the wind was a little bit less here on the Panguitch side. That allowed some people to return to their homes here for just a little bit to take care of some important business. At this moment,
you know, a half hour is not much time.
Every second counts.
Grab your stuff and get out of here.
People near Panguitch Lake have just minutes to do that before officers escort them back down the mountain.
So hard to decide what is really important.
For Vivian Whiteley, it's her 5th trip up here since being evacuated.
Got pictures. I got this statue that I had inherited from my aunt.
A lot of loss. It's kind of sad.
That loss extends to more than just property.
Yeah, I'm Josh Pollock with the Division of Wildlife Resources. I was out,
as this video painfully shows.
and I ended up coming down the road and saw this fawn standing in the middle of the road crying, and clearly he's not going to make it.
On this, the 11th day of the Brianhead fire, people here are counting down the days until the danger is gone and the destruction is over.
I do hope so, Sue.
Now, look over here. This is a shot of the lake behind me. You can see it's pretty hazy. That's what we've dealt with a lot today. We haven't seen a lot of flames at this vantage point. We haven't seen tremendous amounts of smoke either, but the haze has spread across the Panguitch Lake area, just something that firefighters are dealing with. Obviously, fire is burning dramatically somewhere, but in this portion, fire officials tell me it seemed to be good news today on the front of firefighting, a little bit calmer of a day today. Back to you. Yeah, you can only imagine, Mark and Shauna, how it is when your cabin or your home is right in the path of these flames. Well, a lot of people, over 1,600 firefighters now are fighting this Brianhead fire, and people here in Panguitch tonight wanted to make sure that they felt appreciated. At the end of another long day at the Brianhead fire,
Some are coming. I think you guys can get them. Yeah.
an unexpected surprise for firefighters heading back into town.
They want pineapple juice. Pineapple juice.
This was all Brookley's idea.
I love that. Nice job.
I've seen them come down through town and they've looked super tired and hot.
She's just 9 years old.
So I thought maybe they could use a nice cool drink before they go back.
Thank you.
It is a chore fighting this fire, although crews on the Panguitch Lake side seem to get a small break.
A little less heat today, a little less winds.
A welcome reprieve from earlier. Still, this fire is taking a toll, especially on those whose homes are in its path.
Totally worried, can't sleep.
Vivian Whiteley and her husband worry their home of 33 years may not make it.
This is so scary.
But at the same time, they look around and feel like they're in good hands.
I can't even conceive their job of what they do and how they risk their lives.
Now back here in Panguitch, people are preparing for a community meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Panguitch High School. That was just announced in the last 30 minutes or so. Also just announced by the Garfield County Sheriff's Office is that the Brianhead fire is now impacting the watershed for Panguitch City. The Sheriff's Office saying tonight that now they are looking to the city's well to take care of the needs of the people who live here in Panguitch. They're warning people, or not warning, I should say, they're warning against worrying. They're saying that this is not a big deal right now, that people shouldn't panic or anything like that, but they should use perhaps other water supplies to water their lawns and just try to conserve a little bit as they wait and try to get this situation with their water supply under control. Back here in Panguitch, we're continuing to follow this story, and for now we'll send it back to you, Shauna. Well, the latest, Shauna and Mark, is this wind that's here, but we'll get to that in just a sec. First, let's run down the numbers that are the most recent on this Brianhead wildfire. More than 54,000 acres have burned Containment sitting at about 10%. More than 1,600 firefighters are here in southern Utah using some 71 engines and 14 helicopters. Obviously, this is now almost 2 weeks old, this fire. It's been burning since June 17th. Today, firefighters have to deal once again with the wind. I'm joined by Aaron Darbovan, who is a public information officer with this fire. We're feeling the wind just standing here. It's got to be tough today for these firefighters to deal with.
Really tough for the firefighters today. 25 to 35 mile per hour gusts. Down here, I feel like I'm getting blown over. I can't imagine on the ridge tops what it's like.
All right, a couple days ago that happened. Are you worried about the spread of the fire, and especially these tall 100-foot flames and spotting of maybe half a mile high?
Absolutely, yeah. The winds combined with the fuels that it's burning in, this heavy timber, are apt to set up some embers, so that's a serious concern, and the reason for the red flag warning today.
Now, the outlook is a little bit optimistic, though, right?
Yeah.
If we can get through today.
If we can get through today, yeah, we are looking at a little bit of a silver lining as far as the weather goes. Winds are forecast to die down.
All right, well, we're hoping for obviously a quick resolution to this. Still low containment. We'll get some updated numbers, I understand, later this evening. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Aaron Darbovan
Thanks.
with the Brianhead Fire Command. So here in Parowan, where we're standing, again, lots of wind. Firefighters up on the mountain behind us have their work cut out for them today as they try to get an upper hand. Back to you.
All right, now the footprint of that fire on the ground is disheartening, and when you see the damage from the air, it's enormous and devastating. The fires burned about 13 cabins and homes and forced about 1,500 people to evacuate. Our Daniel Woodruff got a look at the blaze today from up above. Daniel, it wasn't pretty.
No, Mark, it really was not. We took a ride in the sky today with the folks from Southern Utah University Aviation, and up there you get a really good and unique perspective about just how massive this fire is.
Control, hang on. 2 minus 0. You guys hear me back there? Density altitude 8,300.
We take off, flying over Cedar City, a place untouched by smoke and haze.
Dogs coming out?
As we approach Parowan, we see it, the massive Brianhead fire raging over more than 54,000 acres.
It'll come down a little bit as we go.
We can't fly directly over the fire because of flight restrictions, but from our chopper, it's stunning to see how big it is. Some parts burning furiously, others only smoldering.
I think, man, it used to look really pretty out there.
As we hover over Panguitch, thick smoke is everywhere, even up by us, 10,000 feet in the air.
About 5 miles west of Panguitch.
All told, it takes us more than an hour to circle the entire perimeter. It's huge, almost 85 square miles. From our vantage point, we see just how much land has been destroyed and how much is still in danger. Now, something else we experienced on this ride was the wind. You'd certainly expect that on a chopper ride, but today, as has been talked about, especially windy. Firefighters have had to deal with that wind all day today. Now, we're on the Parowan side, and it is especially gusty at this moment. We also talked with some of the people from Southern Utah University Aviation, the ones who took us up in the chopper today. They told us they've seen this fire from the beginning. They say it's unbelievable how quickly it spread. Back to you.
Breaking news of evacuations that will soon be lifted. Daniel.
Yeah, some good news tonight, Shauna and Mark. Let's go over that. We just learned that the town of Brianhead and the Dry Lakes areas will be open to residents beginning Friday morning at 7 o'clock. This was just announced by the town manager, Brett Hauser, who is in Brianhead. Now, the power is restored to those areas. They're working on getting phone and internet service there. This is welcome news to those people who have been evacuated from those communities for days and days. In fact, I met one of them tonight. She and her husband and their 2 grandchildren. They live in the town of Brianhead. During this time of uncertainty, they have had to stay in several places, including one they're at right now that they didn't quite expect.
There's the popsicles.
Popsicles are popular in Kim Main's family.
What kind do you want?
Especially for her 2 grandchildren.
They keep me very busy.
But this family's life is more than just busy.
I think today's 12 days.
It's turned completely upside down.
They want to go home. They really want to go home.
The Maines evacuated the town of Brianhead June 17th, fleeing flames that have turned into this country's biggest wildfire. Now, this is their new home.
This is Weston's bed.
A dorm room.
Home is where you make it.
At Southern Utah University.
I never put any thought into to SU or the dorms much before.
It is kind of like going back to school. And playing in a courtyard is a little unusual.
We'll have to wash your feet in a little bit.
But Kim is grateful to have a place and a home to return to when this is all over. You getting impatient yet to get back home?
Yeah, I think a little. We really want to go home.
Again, breaking news tonight, they will be able to go home Friday morning at 7. The town of Brianhead and Dry Lakes reopening to residents at 7 a.m. There is one caveat, though. It is only accessible through Highway 148. Highway 143 through Parawan Canyon will remain closed for the time being. Back to you.
Well, life has been on hold for several communities since that fire started, but tomorrow life starts to get back to normal.
People will begin moving back home. Daniel Woodruff live in Brianhead right now. Daniel, there is no place like home if their property was spared.
Yeah, that's right, and it's been a long time for people here. Now, you know, Brianhead doesn't officially reopen until tomorrow morning, but all day today we've been here. We've seen a lot of activity, people getting ready in preparation for that moment. They're all eager to get back here. There's a lot to do to bring a town back to life.
We're looking forward to coming back as a crew, as a team.
Brianhead Resort is bustling.
Chairlifts running.
Getting ready to welcome people back to a place that's essentially been a ghost town. Down the road, Thunder Mountain Motorsports is in high gear.
We need to be open for the 4th of July.
Bringing back the toys they had to quickly hide away when the Brianhead fire sparked out of control.
We moved as many as we could in the time we had to move them.
That's where it started. It came screaming right up there towards us.
Brett Hauser is the town manager.
I thought the whole town was gone. I thought we were toast.
The fire is still burning, but for Brianhead, the danger is past.
You get into town and you would hardly know.
Now comes the hard work of getting everything back to normal, something this town hasn't known for 13 days.
It'll be great to get people back in here. We can't wait.
Now, the town again officially opens at 7 tomorrow morning. You can only access it, though, from Highway 148. That's on the Cedar City side. Also, the community of Dry Lakes also opening to homeowners and residents there tomorrow morning as well. Back to you.
And we will continue to monitor the fire activity and bring you updates as we get them. Stay with us on KUTV as well as KUTV.com.